Oh my god. Oh, there you are. Hey, Charlie. Oh.
You're not allowed here.
Wow.
That's right, the puppets in FNAF 1, baby!
The puppets and Pebble, baby! Let's go! Hey guys, and welcome to GTLive, where today we have a little bit of a different episode in store for you, my friends. I've seen this video circulating around on youtube.com, preceded by www. This is what if the FNAF timeline was planned from the start, reboot / game dev concept. And to my understanding, that's exactly what we're about to get into. Someone asked the question, specifically, a creator named The Unwithered Truth asked the question, hey, if FNAF was planned from the beginning, if we seeded out the story from the very first game, what would that game look like, right? Which opens the door up to, and that's the gesture you do for opening up the door. Everyone knows this to be true. It opens up the door for interesting conversation about, hey, should the FNAF 1 game have looked different? Is it worth rebooting the series or remastering, recreating the original games? What would that look like? What would the implications be? And what was the significance of leaving the original mainline games in the way that they were, right? So this is a very interesting point of discussion, and I'm excited to get into it. But first, before anything else, we have a new friend on deck today, my good pals. So I'd like to open the door. And what was that gesture? This? I believe this was that gesture. I'm going to do it in this direction. And she's doing it right back at me, which is perfect. I'd like to introduce my new friend, Fisher.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How
Hello.
you guys doing? Glad to be here.
Yeah. So, Fisher, Sam is taking a little rest today. So, Fisher decided to get on the mic and spend some time with me for literally who knows why. High constitution stat needed.
Absolutely.
To endure that.
I'm ready.
You're ready?
I didn't eat breakfast, but I think I'll be fine.
Oh, we're doing it fasted.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. High performance
That's
here
right.
today in the GTLive studio. Amazing. I don't know where I
did
got
that come
this.
from?
I don't know where I got
You're
this.
not drinking anything with that.
No, I'm drinking coffee out of one of these numbers.
Where'd you find that?
I don't know. I don't remember. It was somewhere around here, I guess. I don't know. I don't drink soda. The fizzies are too much for me, but I found this little bottle cam tab, I guess. Okay. I mean, it's fun to play with, so I'm going to keep holding it. So, Fisher, so that the people know more about who you are as a human,
Sure.
why don't you share a little fun fact?
All right. So my go-to is in high school, I played Ultimate Frisbee, and we were actually multi-state champions.
Wait.
That's right.
You were multi-state
That's right.
champions.
State of Kansas, we took over, and then we defeated Colorado, Nebraska, Oklahoma. We took over.
Oh,
Midwest champs.
You
Ultimate Frisbee.
took over the Midwest.
That's right.
With Ultimate Frisbee.
That's correct.
So do you still Frisbee in an ultimate fashion?
I still have the Frisbees in my car, but it's been a long time. I'm retired.
But you hold that piece
That's
of you
correct.
with you.
Yes.
Always.
Absolutely.
How many Frisbees do you have in your car?
Oh, like 8.
8 Frisbees?
You only need one to play.
I really thought you were going to be like, just a couple.
No, there's
8 Frisbees.
There's like 8. Where else do you put them? They take up a lot of space.
I mean, are they big Frisbees?
Yeah.
Oh, like, okay. I'm admittedly
What
not
scale
so familiar.
are you on? Yeah.
I'm not so familiar with Ultimate Frisbee. I
Mhm.
don't know the full sizes. I am used to the classical size of like
Yes.
that.
That is the classical size.
Okay.
That's what we're using.
So we're using classic
Yeah.
sized Frisbees for this endeavor.
Yes.
At this point, I've done this enough where the shape is changing every single time I do it
Yeah.
and changing positions. So 8 of these boys.
Yes.
Are they all different colors? Are they weighted?
Oh, they got different designs.
They have
We
different
used to
designs.
collect them.
Ooh.
You win a tournament, and you get a little commemorative Frisbee. Everyone would sign it. It was pretty cool.
That's so cute.
It was fun.
Oh my gosh. Do you have like, what are the favorite or like most coveted designs of a
Ooh.
Frisbee then?
Alien designs, definitely.
Alien Ultimate Frisbees.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's the one. There was some glow in the dark ones, but I think I lost that.
So you could play Ultimate Frisbee at night.
Right.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And in terms of Ultimate Frisbee,
hmm
you're running around and you're throwing.
Yeah, it's kind of like soccer.
Okay.
But you can't move when you're holding the frisbee.
You're locked in when you have it.
Yeah, it's like 7-on-7. I played the handle, is what it's called.
The handle.
It's like the quarterback of the ultimate frisbee.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, not to brag. So if you're playing the handle, can you get like handle sacked? In the same way that there's like a quarterback sack?
You can get blocked. So the people stand in front of you, and I'm not on camera obviously, but you just
okay, I'll mimic what you're doing.
Yeah, you wave your arms and your legs back and forth. And,
your legs?
Yeah, and you kick block it.
Ah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a fun sport. It's on ESPN3 sometimes if you guys are interested.
It's on ESPN3 sometimes.
Yeah.
This might be the reason I needed to start watching ESPN3.
Yes.
I don't know if I've ever touched that channel.
Yeah, it's either that or poker. So
really?
well, those are the things.
Poker on
those
ESPN?
Yeah.
Poker. Ultimate Frisbee.
Yeah.
Peak sports.
Absolutely.
That's phenomenal. Well, I hope that the thrills we are about to encounter here today are akin to that of winning the Ultimate Frisbee multi-state championship.
I think it will be. I'm
Okay.
excited for this video.
Very good. So, without further ado, my friends, let's hop, skip, and jump right into this thing. What if the FNAF timeline was planned from the very start? Warning! This video contains flashing lights that may affect viewers who are susceptible to photosensitive epilepsy. Great, and I have captions on? Yes, alright. Bada bing, bada boom. This is a 36-minute video. Almost 37. This could be a 4-parter for us.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm new, I guess. Yeah, I don't exactly know how
You're not
all of
familiar
this is
with the
gonna work.
splits.
Yeah.
Okay. Lock in. How
Okay.
much do you know about FNAF? I probably should have asked that at the beginning.
I know a decent amount, I would say. I mean, obviously, I watched all the game theory videos back in the day, and I've seen like some of the streams
Okay.
from GTLive about this. I would say I probably fell off like 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
With the newer games. I've watched the theories and stuff, but I've never played them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not on board with the Mimic or Edwin.
I know the names. I'm excited to learn more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Solid. Cool. All right. So let's see. This is all about FNAF 1. So let's see how the knowledge holds up.
Sounds good.
Woo. It's the warning again. I'm excited. Okay.
I recently put up a poll on my community.
Wait, what was that? Sorry, I'm pausing already.
Wow, we're 5 seconds in.
Yeah. Here. What was that? Hints in blank. Non-hints in... Oh, okay. Hints are in brackets. Non-hints are in parentheses? Did you hide lore in the closed captions? I'm on to you, Unwithered Truth. I'm on to you.
I recently put up a poll on my community tab section where I asked if you guys thought that it would be a good idea for the original FNAF games, i.e. FNAF 1 to Ultimate Custom Night.
Okay, that's a good differentiation first, because, like, again, this is pre-Steel Wool, essentially. Pre-Steel Wool, for context. Which makes sense if we're talking about, like, planning out the lore and seeding it into the earlier games, because there was so much ambiguity in these early entries that it's what prompted a lot of the theorizing. So, all that to say, context.
To be remade as to fit the newer lore. The results of this poll were mixed, with over 70% of people saying yes, this should be done, but the 30% that said no being the more vocal as to why they think that it would ruin the franchise in the comments.
Huh, that's interesting. One, by that definition of, like, mixed, I actually see a 70-30 as, like, that's a pretty solid majority for a poll. That's a super majority even. It's more than 2/3, right?
Electoral College says yes.
The Electoral College would say so. I asked them myself, and so did Fisher, who brought that information here to the studio.
We talk.
We're in cahoots. We're not in
friendly,
cahoots.
but
Yeah, we're connected. We are not friends. So the 30% being more vocal, right? I see that being the more, like, the original fan base, right? The people who were here at the very beginning, who saw how these original games it's how they all kind of fit together to create this kind of ball of theorizing and ultimately set the culture for the FNAF fan base and the community, right? So I think that if we look at the way these answers are structured of like, no, we should never like recreate it or reboot it, I think there's a way where they'd be like, oh no, I don't want to lose what we had originally. But it's interesting that 70% said clean up the lore with remakes, right? I think if these were like full-blown releases, then it would be crafting the sort of new story and restructuring what questions we're supposed to think about and answer, right? At this point in the FNAF fan base and community, we're looking for a lot of clarity right now. And with the Secret of the Mimic trailer, with the content update from Help Wanted 2, we're getting some answers within the realm of the Tales books, right? Tales games being canon, or at the very least, the Mimic story fitting into the game's continuity. That clarity is, I think, very rewarding for this fan base that feels like it spent so much time running in circles and theorizing just to not find any payoff. Especially with these earlier games, as we're going back to these questions about like, hey, who are the two souls in Golden Freddy? We never got clarity on what's in the box. We're told not to worry about the box, but we still kind of worry about the box. I worry a lot about the box. I'm not gonna lie. You can come at me for it. I still think about it and it stresses me out a little bit. What is the timeline even of these original entries, right? There's still so much ambiguity that clarity is desired at this point, especially for the people who, you know, who they feel like they've theorized as much as they could. They're watching a bunch of different theories, but they're all giving different explanations. People just want answers. I think that's where you're seeing a lot of that coming from. And I think up here, we're also referencing Tales games. So Tales games being all but confirmed, and new releases not fitting old information. And new releases not fitting old information, do you think there should be a remake of classic era games to fit the new lore? It's like, does Steelwool make these games? Are these Scott-based remakes as well? It's like, a lot to think about, especially with books like The Week Before, where it's telling us information about FNAF 1 without actually having to go back to that game and revamp it in some way, shape, or form, right? I assume The Week Before will appear in this video, but just putting it out there. Anyway, I'm 33 seconds into this video, and we should probably get a move on, so that's what I'm gonna do.
In the comments. I'm honestly split about the idea myself, as reboots and remakes can invite a lot of their own problems when dealing with a franchise like FNAF. That's why today I thought it would be more fun to create what I think would be a best case scenario for a reboot of the entire franchise.
Whoa! Or the entire franchise. Oh. Or at least a reboot of the very first game. Okay.
A reboot of the very first game, to see what I think FNAF 1 could have looked like were the story planned out from the very beginning.
That's so cool. This is such a cool concept. I don't know if I've ever seen this in video form, per se. Like, we're seeing recreations of FNAF 1 through different timeline videos, like the Game Theory timeline, John FNAF's timeline, all of that. But of like, oh, recreating the game, and not just like FNAF Plus. It's, oh, let us incorporate all of these new lore features and aspects and reimagine it. I think that's super sick. So I'm very excited to see what Unwithered Truth planned out here. Because I think, again, that's just such an exciting and cool thing to hopefully see and visualize in a new way.
Depending on how this video performs, I might just create more like this, but for now,
I think you're good, buddy.
Pretty good.
I think you're good. People are on board with what you're putting down, man. So, I mean, obviously no pressure. Live your life, live your dreams. But I hope this goes to show that people are extremely excited about this idea.
I think it's best to look back at where the series started and try to reshuffle FNAF 1 to be a more narrative experience, taking the best of what came before and trying to leave out all of the weird contradictory material.
So, half of it? No, I'm kidding.
The title of my reboot will be Five Nights at Freddy's Anniversary.
Ah. Interesting. Ooh! Ooh! Even like the little animations on the title page instead of like the static image with all the TV static is very cool. It's just exciting to see the originals get a little extra love, you know what I mean? They're so overlooked. Help Wanted. I thought this was FNAF 1.
My reboot would start exactly where the first game did. A newspaper article advertising the night guard shift for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Posted in the local newspaper, the Utah Province Daily Herald, is the following ad, published the 6th of November,
So, gosh, Saturday. Whoops.
1993.
Oh, okay. I see. I was like, Saturday, whoops. What do you mean Saturday, whoops? It says Sunday here, but apparently it's supposed to be Saturday. And then we know from the subtitles up here, parentheses are not hints. It's just discussing what's happening. Okay, cool.
As you can see, not much here has changed from the original newspaper, aside from making the phone number to be the same from the security breach Fredbear posters.
1-800-83. Okay, yeah. Wow. 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 Okay, I'm impressed. So we're already going through to the latest games, the posters that we've seen in Security Breach, as well as a Secret of the Mimic trailer, right? And pulling that in to be part of this number. So this is the Family Diner number, however. We can see that right up here. Boop-a-doop-a-doop. The Family Diner number. So unless they just, like, took the phone and were just like, hey, can we keep this number as we bounce between a bunch of different locations? Because FNAF 1, the pizzeria is not the Family Diner, right? We know that the Family Diner and the first pizzeria were open at the same time, and then we went to the FNAF 2 location, and then after that, we come back here in the early 90s. So if we're just pulling along this phone number, then sure, I mean, I'm sure there's a way to talk to whatever phone company and keep it and bounce that number between different locations, or have that just be a general Freddy Fazbear, like Fazbear Entertainment number, and then it's like, to reach the Family Diner, press 1, or if it's, you know, if you have antiquated technology, for a rotary phone.
Yeah.
What was the verbiage they used?
Dial, I think.
Dial.
Yeah.
Duh. Dial the phone. Beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, boop. So dial 1 to go to the Family Diner. Dial 2 to go to the pizzeria. Dial 3 for Circus Baby rent. I know, I'm just making a joke. But again, I think that's a cool Easter egg to involve nonetheless. And also just like, okay, yeah, my guy is doing his research and we love to see it.
And updating the minimum wage. Again, I'm not...
Really? Wait, hold on. What was the minimum wage at the beginning? Shout out to Freddy Fazbear. All right. So
I remember that being a huge, like,
it was like
point of confusion.
nothing.
Yeah, in the first game.
Oh my gosh, please go back. Please.
Here has changed from the original newspaper, aside...
120 a week. Okay, so here, let's math it. 120 over 5 nights, right?
Yeah.
And then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So divide that. Okay, so 4. And now it's 420. It's an extra quarter. Stonks.
Big time.
Big time. Is that what the minimum wage was back then? Matched?
I don't know. We can look that up. I just
Right.
remember that being like a huge talking point in the first game. Like when they were trying to find the dates, was matching minimum wage.
Ooh, okay. Okay. So we don't listen to AI.
Absolutely not.
Chicago Tribune, $4.25 an hour. The federal minimum wage stayed at $4.25 an hour in 1993. When adjusted for inflation, that would be $7.84 in today's dollars. Interesting. In 1994, the minimum wage of $4.25 would be the equivalent of $7.65 an hour today. And then 95 was the final year. The minimum wage stayed at $4.25. Ah, so with it being $4, then that would imply that it was older or happened before 93. Good, good. Yes. Love me some thorough research. $4.25 minimum wage, 93 to 95, at least. Good to know.
Wage. Again, I'm not doing this to fit with Security Breach, but just to leave fun Easter eggs from this previous version of the FNAF universe.
Great, so if I stayed watching for 10 additional seconds, I would not have called that out. Oh, gosh. Old habits die hard. And may or may not be a Christmas movie.
Nothing from any of the games is applicable to this new reboot's lore.
Nothing from any of the games is applicable to this new reboot's lore. I mean, I guess so. That all happens in the future. And then we don't know enough about Secret of the Mimic for sure to say what happened all the way before, but at least from the books, and if we look at Tales games, that should give us a better idea. But good call out. I think good differentiator.
Nothing from any of the games is applicable to this new reboot's lore. In my ideal scenario, I would also make that abundantly clear in community posts and
Definitely sees the start of a new canon. None of the previous game book lore applies. It's an adaptation, so there may be references, Easter eggs calling back, but old lore does not import into the new lore. Okay. None of the previous game book lore applies. Okay. I'll stay with you. I'll stay with you. I think I need additional context to know where the line is being drawn, but I'm with you.
Advertising for the game before it released. The reason I decided to firmly set this game in 1993 rather than in 1989 or 1998 or 92 or any of the other proposed dates for the current version of FNAF 1 is mainly as a way to pay homage to game theory and their first FNAF video, which started the whole theorizing trend in the first place. However,
I know that guy! I know that guy. Yeah. Wow. Aw. Matthew Origins.
Shout out.
Shout out to Matthew Pathew. Yeah. Okay. 93. This was the one where Matt was like, okay, the MCI. And you know what? Once upon a time, years ago, there were actually 5 children in like a Chuck E. Cheese or something, right? I actually pulled up the original game theory for FNAF, right? The FNAF 1 theory. And this part here, it's actually pretty dark and like kind of based off of a real thing. But what we're pulling the 1993 from, therefore, is here when this original crime took place that Matt describes in this video. Matt doesn't stick to this, or he hasn't. I don't know. I haven't really known a Matt that backed this theory very fully. So with the 1993 that you're seeing and the homage that you're seeing comes from this frame. But anyway, very cool.
However, there is a further reason, but we'll get back to that later.
Sick.
In the original game, the surrounding blurred out text was just some filler stuff that Scott put in for fun, but I think this is a great opportunity to further hint at other things going on in the FNAF world at this time.
Right? That's such a good call out. I think we were talking about this with when we were going through John's timeline. I was trying to read all the little filler stuff that was in these newspapers, right? Because that would have been such a hit the ball out of the park place to hide information and things. But because a lot of that story wasn't, developed with these characters that came later on in the series, we didn't see a lot of that information, right? So what do you put here?
I think an advertisement for Stan's Budget Tech would be fitting as well.
Wait, Stan's Budget Tech. No, wait, what's that from? What's that from? Only the best for the least. Call in on the 5th and see what great tech deals you're missing out on. Is that... I feel like that's a book. Hold on. This was the company from FNAF 6. FFPS, even. Wow, that's a deep cut. That's awesome. Okay, so I just had to cross-check it to make sure I was not going absolutely wild here. Where are you? Okay, here you are. The Stan's Budget Tech is actually from the FNAF 6 catalog. So there you go. The mainline things are being cross-referenced here. I think that's what was meant in that tweet. Mainline lore is put together, and that's what's being referenced here. But the Steel Wool era games are being used for Easter eggs, not so much the actual lore in that building, right? Only the best for the least. Call in on 5th and see what great tech deals you're missing out on. Product functionality not guaranteed. No refunds or replacements.
As well as an article about the unknown whereabouts of a Daily Herald reporter, Bronwyn Light.
Ah, okay. Junior reporter for the Daily Herald, Bronwyn Light, who was reported missing by her mother on the night of October 29th, still has not been located by police in her hometown of Hurricane. Her last known whereabouts were in her home on the night of October 25th, where her mother says she was acting strangely and told her she was onto something big. Something big. You got some bid there. Onto something big. Herald employees, despite sharing a close relationship to the woman, claim not to know what she could have been referencing. If she was onto something, editor of the...
featured in the week before. who disappeared
No.
a little over a week ago.
Okay, yes. So we are going into the week before with this, which makes sense, which means that we should be seeing a lot of Ralph in this as well. Ralph is the protagonist. That's who we are seeing the week before through, and we are playing as that night guard who was previously on the day shift, then goes to the night shift, and then is just like bouncing out of here. He's a dad. Seems to be a pretty good dad, all things considered. You have the option to give your daughter little gifts after the nights, which is very cute and sweet. So, okay, we are going heavy into this. There should be a lot of the week before referenced in this thing, if I had to guess.
Again, I'm not saying the week before is canon, but I just like the idea of adapting some of that story into this fresh universe.
Right.
Player is prompted to continue, but instead of being brought straight to night one, the newspaper is pulled away from the camera. We didn't realize.
Whoa! Okay, so this is I think, a more well-lit version of our sister location living room with the TV. We have Plush Baby and Golden Freddy, right? Fredbear. Okay. It kind of represents the other two Afton siblings, right? Crying Child got bit by this guy. Elizabeth got yoinked by this guy. And they're both together there. Who'd have thunk? So this is looking through Michael Afton's perspective, going in here and just kind of solidifying him as like, yes, we are playing as this person, going in and going through this game. Here we go. Yep. So we have our groovy background here, sun clock, our box TV, and then we're eating popcorn here. This is the Immortal and the Restless watch sesh that we go through as Mike, right? So that puts us as the same person, locking that in, clarifying that information, and moving forth with that. So I think the plushies are fabulous detail. That's that.
Do the pillow colors mean anything, or am I thinking too hard?
I mean, we've seen purple and green pop up a lot in this franchise as like opposing forces. So green was like Charlie's bracelet, and purple is representative of Afton. They're like these two opposing forces. Solid call out.
Thank you.
Solid. My gosh. Absolute expert already. Let's keep going.
Decorated living room torn straight out of the 70s. We grab a TV remote and can click through the TV channels using our keyboard or controller.
Not popcorn, notably. Whoa!
If you want Circus Mania and her friends at your next party, call us today at 01888-578. Circus Babies Entertainment and Rentals. Let fantasy and fun come to you.
A clock in the corner of the room will tick to 11 p.m. in 60 seconds, which will end these in-between night sections, or the player can always manually skip ahead with the button on screen.
Oh, the circus... Wait. So there's Circus Babies rentals. Ads playing? During 93?
These in-between night sections, or the player can always manually skip ahead with the button on screen. At the end of the game, all the stuff you watched on the TV will be available through an extras page on the main menu for ease of theorists wanting to review. Anyway, nothing too...
That's an interesting note. Having it all available for theorists to review. And that could be a way to encourage the theorizing and to cultivate that. But I think there's also something to be said for leaving theorizable objects and things not easily accessible and having people dig for it or stumble onto it, and then they're asking questions about what this thing is in this particular space, right? Like, I think it's cool and accessible to have it as a separate part of the menu, but I also wonder, like, you know, should there be a balance as well? I'm sure there is, because I'm just jumping off of what I'm seeing directly in front of me, but, like, you know, it's an interesting question. Like, what is the best way to set things up for people to theorize about? Because with FNAF, it's been a lot of like, oh, you know, posters and notes and look at what's happening here, or why was this cryptic line said to you? And it's things that you just have to like think over and over and over. And then you have, for things like the sister location, like the schematics and the things like that you'll see in the extras in the gallery. And that can be an aid for theorizing as well. I assume that this is more like that, but there's obviously a lot more in the game that you'd have to just like sink your teeth into, you know what I mean? But just generally, like, how do you balance that from a game design perspective? It's an interesting question.
Too crazy important on this first pre-night section beyond some Easter eggs, so let's jump into night 1.
Easter eggs. God, I'm like, what is the significance of this? And then literally 3 seconds later, he's like, it's an Easter egg. Don't think about it too hard. It's an Easter egg.
Does he mean that, though? Or is it actually part of the lore? And he's just smoke screening with, this is an Easter egg.
And he's like, you're probably freaking out about how to hide lore in these games, right?
Yeah.
How to do this development kind of thing. But don't you worry, because I'm actually sneaking more in while you're hamletting all over
Don't worry
yourself right
about
now.
it.
Don't worry about
Don't
it.
worry about
Don't
it.
worry about it. I got it under control. All right. All right. So I'm 4 minutes and 12 seconds into this. How long have we been going?
We've been recording for 40 minutes.
Oh my God.
11 p.m. on November 6th ticks over to November 8th.
Welcome to GTLive,
I'm
Fisher.
loving it. I love this. This is great.
Woo!
Before I go into the night-to-night gameplay, I think it's important that I go over exactly what this revamped pizzeria would look like.
Ooh.
And I'm going to be drawing inspiration from all different versions of this building from over the years. Reddit user RDTFGS made this fantastic layout based on FNAF 1, Help Wanted, and the Into the Pit book. Despite those pieces of media not being a part of my new canon, I honestly love this layout. It just feels like exactly what I'm going for with this sort of revamped FNAF 1 pizzeria.
Yeah, let me check this out. So the backstage wraps around the main stage. So you could actually enter from one of the stage sides, which I like. The safe room is over here, and it's listed on this. You know, typically the safe rooms are not listed on the blueprints or the schematics because it's supposed to be this place where it's like, oh, the animatronics don't know that it's there, don't know that it exists, so you could just go there and you know it's safe. So this is just here so that you can see it, but just a silly little call out there. Pirate Cove next to the arcade, that makes perfect sense. That aligns with what we saw in Into the Pit anyway, with the shape. The entrance up here, supply closet, prize counter, west and east, the office. Yes, that makes sense. I'm trying to think. There's a choice you make in week before where you have to go either the west hall or the east hall. And I think the east hall is the way to go because the west you'll get run into by Foxy, I think. It's either Foxy or Bonnie will be here. So you work your way up here. You're in the dining hall. You get stopped by Chica. You hide under a table, and then you can go into the restroom, right? So that all aligns, and that makes sense. And then the party rooms are back up here. Okay. Yeah. This feels good to me.
All credit goes to them for this really great layout, which I'll use as a base. The only thing about this layout that I don't really understand is this double entryway, so I reckon I'll just lose that for my version.
I could see it being like, oh, there's a counter up here, and then you turn around the corner. But
First thing we're going to add here is the ball pit from all the different Into the Pit versions, as it's a standout piece of modern FNAF iconography, even making its way into the movie's pizzeria. So we'll place it in the back right corner of the room, as is described in the original book.
back right. Okay, hold on. I guess if you go in here and then you turn this way, then it would be there. Okay. So, in conjunction, that back right. Yep.
I'm going to shorten the hallways that lead to the security office as well, as the original FNAF 1 pizzeria has a lot of this weird dead space which is not really used. This new layout already goes a long way to fixing some of those problems, but I'm just going to continue to condense down the space because I think it'll just make for a more realistic experience. Because everyone knows that in a game with ghosts, haunting, animatronic robots, the most important thing is realism.
Look. Like, it's sarcasm and it's warranted. At the same time, that's a call out for me. I am always looking for the realism and the logic within the FNAF universe. I am so concerned about their spending habits, Fisher.
Oh, about the overhead?
Yeah.
Profit and loss?
How on earth are they making that much money? I
Yeah.
don't know. They're closing so many locations. They should not be working at a profit. Where did Afton get all the funds for this bunker?
Merch,
Like-
probably.
Merch!
Yeah. They're selling a lot of merch.
It's all the plushies.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to tell us with Security Breach. The plush babies were the highest selling merch item,
Yeah,
and Afton was reaping that coin.
absolutely.
Wow.
These were the Beanie Babies of that universe. Sorry.
The Beanie Babies, specifically of Utah.
Yes.
The Utah Beanie Babies of the 1980s and
right.
arguably part of the 90s. Or the 70s, because of the Fall Fest. Wow. You come in here, And
I'm
you
just here to
immediately answer
figure
these
stuff
questions.
out.
We are
Yeah.
figuring stuff out.
Yeah, we're solving it.
All right, awesome.
To use up some more of the empty space, I'm going to add a manager's office, as there seems to not be
Whoa.
one in the original layout, and one is mentioned in both Into the Pit and the Silver Eyes.
Wait, hold on. Did that appear yet, or am I dumb?
I don't think it showed up yet.
Okay, okay.
One is mentioned. What I'll do is shorten the space between the bathrooms and put it in next to the kitchen. I'm also going to lose this awkward...
I'm not gonna lie, that feels so much better than the ball pit being in front of the restrooms. Sorry.
I mean, the ball pit right in front of the kitchen is also like a little bit concerning
I mean,
for health and safety, but you know, it's fine.
But here's the thing. I don't think any of the kiddos are going into the kitchen,
True.
but they're coming out of the restroom and they're going straight into the ball
Immediately
pit.
to the ball pit.
Or
yeah.
you're going into the ball pit, realizing you have to go to the restroom, and then
Yeah.
beelining it. That's high risk.
Heading to the bathroom, seeing the ball pit, get distracted.
Yes. You forgot you actually had to go to the bathroom. Like, you're in dire straits.
Yeah.
It's a high risk situation.
Absolutely.
If we were playing Pizzeria Sim, these would be high liability.
Definitely. Yes.
High liability.
bend around the backstage and just make it so backstage is behind the stage.
And I get that. From me being a theater nerd, I would actually prefer it wrapping around here so that you had proper wings for the stage, right? Like, if you came in here, you would need to kind of break off this main stage as, like, an additional back area. So if you go in and then you're just going and you're met with a curtain, and then you have to go either left or right to get to the wings, and then there's more curtains, you're making for a very small main stage. But again, if these are just animatronics, you don't have to worry so much about that, I guess, because we're not dealing with spring lock suits here. We're dealing with animatronics proper.
Gotcha. Because of this era?
Yes.
Okay.
So you're not worried about, like, for backstage, it would literally just be like, oh, you go through the main stage, you get, you know, whatever piece you need, because I assume that parts and services would live around this area as well. You get what you need, you go through the front door, you adjust it, you close it, and then you go. Because you're not really dealing with performers, I guess. I'm thinking from this in terms of, like, actually going on to perform.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm sorry for projecting my theater trauma onto your blueprints, and I won't do it again.
Keeping with that, I'm going to also move the safe room from next to the restrooms to beside the backstage. The safe room serves
That's an interesting one. That's interesting to do.
the same
Also, big stage. Oh my gosh. Freddy and Bonnie could be tromping
That's right.
on that thing. Big stepping on the main stage at
Big
Freddy Fazbear's.
steppin'.
Big stepping.
purpose in my universe as it did in the original, so I thought it would make more sense to be placed out of the way so employees could actually move away from customers rather than having to pass through to the bathrooms.
Right? Like, it could also serve as next to the party rooms, like a panic room if a kid is having a rough time, but also I don't think a kid would have any idea it was there. So it makes sense for it to be more employee-based, especially if for whatever reason they need to get away from these animatronics.
Also, as a storage room, it makes more sense to be next to parts and service anyway, so equipment doesn't have to be lugged across the restaurant. I'm going to also just reduce this small space here between the arcade and Pirates Cove, just because I think it makes more sense to kind of loop around in this U shape. So in terms of rooms, that's all I think we need to add or change from the...
Okay. And then
Whoa.
the party rooms moved very abruptly. So party room over here, party room over here. To minimize sound bleed,
Nice.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. You're getting more of the performance rather than little Johnny screaming and little Timmy getting overstimulated.
It's just good architecture.
We love to see it.
Yeah.
Good. I like this.
the old layout, so now we have to talk about cameras. I definitely want to keep the old eerie feeling of FNAF 1's cams, so as little visibility as possible is key. Here are all the camera placements I was imagining, and while I won't go through them one by one, the safe room will remain off camera beside the backstage cam.
Also, I will say, for the cameras leading up to the office, having them here and closer together and taking away some of that dead space that Unwithered Truth did closer to the beginning of the blueprint showcase. Oh my god. This makes it make so much more sense where people are, or where animatronics are,
Yeah.
in conjunction to the door, in a way that I appreciate very much. You still get the kind of like long distance view of like someone creeping down the hallway, but if they're right here, it's like, oh, logically, I know they're way too close. And you know that in the game. Let me be clear. I didn't play FNAF 1 and think, oh, wow, they're in the camera right next to the office. I guess I'll keep an eye on that, I guess. But it's just like, oh wow, you can see more of a contained space, and if you compare these cameras together, you will probably see more of a full, complete room that feels cohesive, rather than FNAF 1 where it's like, hey, look at this corner, lol. And then look at a hallway that seems disconnected, lol. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That
Totally.
makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
We'll also add 3 new cameras, one for the arcade, one for the prize counter, and one for the manager's office. Great.
Manager's office, but also ball pit
camera.
Do you imagine Bonnie being in the ball pit?
Just peeking out, just the ears.
Just whoop. And then they actually recreate the cover for the Into the Pit book.
Whoa.
But it's not Spring Bonnie, it's just Bonnie.
Nice.
So that's the cosplay.
Nice.
Yeah.
With the ball pit.
With the ball pit.
That's part of the cosplay.
Yeah. It's like, all right, guys, I put this part together.
We have
Right,
our
to
building
Comic-Con.
layout and our camera system.
Oh, these look great. That looks really good.
Aesthetically for the building, I don't want the reboot to stray too far from the original series, as
And the plush babies are back. Plush babies. Everyone's taunting us with plush babies. Can't.
Merch.
That merch, they're in my nightmares. The bulging eyes out of this are so like, but yeah, I assume that these are all more Easter eggy because we see the plush babies so much more in the newer games. So I will choose not to look into that too much, but also strides, phone on wall, strides, clearer pictures, strides, 4K poster, celebrate, strides. Also, look, there's lore on the ground.
Oh.
You could reach out there and just grab it and flatten it out and read it.
I find reboots or fan games often try to completely redefine every aspect of the franchise's
Yeah,
most
this is
iconic
clean.
elements. Obviously, it makes sense to want to put your own spin on things, but for me, FNAF 1 is so classic that making things too different isn't worth it. Some things I'll add, though, are old toy animatronic parts in the backstage area, along with really old, withered costume parts.
Yes! That's a great touch, and that's the kind of subtle cohesion that I think would work in a reboot like this, right? So, as I said earlier, we had a pizzeria, then we go to the FNAF 2 location pizzeria. That shuts down, but the Wizards from the first pizzeria location are kept in, for maintenance and that sort of thing, but if there's a reorganization of the pizzeria, they're kept just in case, right? So these parts are used to create the animatronics that we see here, your OGs, so to speak. So, piecing out those pieces of the animatronics, sublime. Sublime. Love it.
Because yes, in my universe, the Unwithereds are undeniably canon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are you really surprised? I think some retro posters from
not.
1985.
I'm not surprised
peeling
at
away
all.
On the wall.
Oh, because you're unwithered truth. I get it. Sorry. I understand what you mean.
Or hidden behind arcade cabinets could be some nice touches. Maybe a few Fredbear's Family Diners posters Into the Pit game style could fit somewhere as well. So that's
I think that'd be fun. I love the arcade cabinets in the Into the Pit game. And yes, that's not existing in the main line that we're talking about here today. But they were fun. I think it depends very much on what games you are putting in the cabinets, though. Can you interact with the cabinets? Can you play on them? Are they like the mini games that you see in FNAF 2, FNAF 3? Like, 8-bit minigame cutscenes. You're seeing that kind of thing, but it happens after each night, but it's actually tied to each of the cabinets in that arcade. Is that the direction we're going towards? Because, you might have to make... I never got rid of this, and I want to make that known. I'm still holding on to it.
It's part of the show now.
This is a new friend. I will keep him forever. You just it's like a thing to think about, how deliberate you want to be with that. Do you want it to connect to the books in any way, shape, or form? Do you want it to foreshadow? Who's to say?
That's our pizzeria, but what about the night-to-night
Hi, Bonnie. Hey.
gameplay?
Gameplay.
With this being the first game in the reboot series, I think sticking as closely to FNAF 1's simple game loop is the way to go.
Hold on. Go back here. Look how much space there is in this hallway for this Cam 2A to capture. I'm just saying. And then when you go to like 2B and 4B, it's literally just one corner where they're like looking up at the camera like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, totally.
Where Bonnie's just like
Hello.
looking up at the camera at you.
Is the way to go. The usual loop of checking the cameras and closing the doors if the animatronics make it to outside the office is the same. Foxy's pirate coat mechanic is a little different though, as I thought it would be cool to introduce his light sensitivity from the other games into this one. Similar to FNAF 2, the cameras are all equipped with their own spotlights, and to keep Foxy in his cove, you have to flash him with the lights to make him recoil behind his curtain. To stop this from being a
I like that so much. I like that so much, actually. And also you get a little bit of that animation, which is cool, and, you know, one of those, like, nice soft upgrades from the original FNAF 1, where it was just images except for Foxy, like, booking it down the hallway, or, like, the coming into the office sort of thing, right? I think that's really cool.
FNAF 2 puppet music box situation where the
Also gives you a better understanding of, like, hey, did I check on Foxy enough? Is Foxy back in the cove? Is the curtain drawn? Like, what? Like, I remember that being a thing where it's like, oh, I can't tell if any progress was made or if it just reset and already got back to where it was. So that's nice. I like
just
that.
camps, the pirate cove cams, will make it so that Foxy actually moves faster the longer the cameras are on his stage. That way you're only supposed to check his cameras to flash him, but not to stay on it or he'll just come right back in.
I like that. That's good.
The rest of the animatronics stay mostly the same. Bonnie down the left hall, Chica
Ooh, that's
down
good.
the right.
See, look at that. Look at that.
That looks so good.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're still in the corner here, but you could see part of the walls more clearly. And you could see it's like, oh, they're going down this hallway, and they're not 50 yards away from you.
Chica down the right hall, but
That's helpful.
Freddy, while his gameplay is the same, has some interesting behavior. Every now and then, we can hear Freddy
Oh, okay. That's good on you. Like, the scary face is extremely close to the original image that you saw, but the movement is
hear
great.
Freddy's music box echoing through the halls of the pizzeria. If we check the cams and locate Freddy while his music box is playing, we'll see that he is not facing the cameras as usual, but instead facing toward open ventilation shafts that'll come into play later.
He's in the vents? He's looking in the vents? Wow. We're even introducing the vents earlier on.
This is really cool.
Oh my gosh. This is like such a... It's not even just introducing lore, it's introducing mechanics that were involved in the main line, but streamlining it so that some of the technology also feels more cohesive with what's going on. Man, it's
Open
great.
ventilation shafts that'll come into play later.
Oh! Wait, what?
We saw text. Oh,
I wear his face. His words are buried below. Find them and know my beginning. What? Is that a gold thread line? I wear his face.
text in purple. Does that mean
No.
anything?
Ball pit.
Ball
His
pit.
aftons. Sorry, I was thinking about Afton because it was purple.
Okay.
His aftons are buried below. All of his aftons. Find them and know my beginning. Whoa. You feel very Freddy.
What does that mean?
Well, you're not ready. You're Freddy.
Oh, okay.
You feel, it's like, despite everything, it's still you. Fills you with determination. You feel very Freddy.
But instead, facing toward open ventilation shafts that'll come into play later.
Whoa, okay. What are you putting down here? I wear his face. His words are buried below. Find them and know my beginning. It has to be like the original Acton tease. I feel very Freddy. Freddy doesn't like being in the spotlight. Really? Wait, that's such a silly little thing. Wait, no, he's the front man. Huh. Freddy doesn't like being in the spotlight.
Interesting.
I like what you're doing here, man.
Was there text in that, like, little glitch there?
Oh my gosh.
Frame by frame.
Frame by frame analysis. on whether why does this keep shrinking?
I might be wrong.
I think it's just extra duties,
I think you're
but
right.
going sicko mode.
Yep, you're right.
So that's the regular loop, but I think fleshing it out with some extras could help this game to feel like a true revitalization of the series. I don't want to add too many extra mechanics, as I feel like we're robbing ourselves of the opportunity to expand the gameplay in following games.
That's a good note. That's a good note. Like, if this is the first reboot, let's say in this hypothetical revitalized series, right? Where are you going to expand and where are you going to grow it so that the player feels that sense of like, oh, we're progressing, new things are happening, like that refreshing feeling of a game like building on itself, you know what I mean? So I think that's actually a really solid place to stop it, because we still don't have things like the Puppets music box, because why right now would we have that? Like, unless the puppet is just like, surprise, I'm here. Unless the puppet is in the fence. Whoa. And we're looking at it. Whoa. And you hear, because that's when you hear the music. It's not the puppet song,
Right.
but could be.
Could be.
Could be.
But the week before gave me some inspiration for extra tasks we might have as our time being the security guard at Freddy's. In the week before, Ralph has to clean up messes, change out light bulbs.
Yes!
While I don't think there should be too many of these extra tasks for this game, giving the player optional challenges for extra points and lore secrets could be a really fun idea.
Right? It's hard to execute, but I think that would be very fun. Also, I'm so pro Ralph. I love good dads.
Good take. I agree.
Thank you. Good dad. Good dad.
Some of these extra challenges could even help the player out with their regular check the cameras, close the doors gameplay. For example, a simple task could be to switch out a light bulb in the restrooms, just like in the week before.
And then you take a chewed up piece of bubble gum and use it to close the stall because the door doesn't shut all the way.
That's how it works in the book?
Yeah, it's awesome. So, soft spoilers for the night before, the week before, night one. The night before is a Beatles song off of their 1965 album Help, which is sung by Paul McCartney. The song, not the whole album, but he does sing a lot on there. Anyway, so the first night, you have to replace a couple light bulbs.
Okay.
There are 2 light bulbs that go out in the restroom, right? So you replace the first one. Before that, you can look for clues. So you can look in the sink and grab some things. Before, when I mentioned before you were hiding underneath the table,
Right.
you can get the gum from underneath there. And
This
then
is
there's
like a choose your own adventure book or
yeah,
something? Okay,
it's
cool.
the interactive novel, like you can decide where you go.
Nice.
It's very fun to do on like the digital format because you could just
yeah.
click and it auto directs you there.
That's cool.
Super easy. But you can collect objects and it helps you out later in the game. So you replace a light bulb and you're like, yeah, replace the light bulb. It's like, oh, do you want to replace the other one? Do you want to listen to the door? Or just like, screw it, I'll leave, I think. So if you listen to the door, you'll hear that Foxy is on his way.
Gotcha.
And it's like, do I barricade the door? Do I hide in the stall? I picked hide, and then the front door is jammed. You can hide in the second stall, or if you have a paperclip,
Okay.
you can pick the stall door and go in there and hide in there.
Okay.
So, I don't fully understand why, but it's faster to pick the lock and hide in that stall than to go to the one directly next to it.
Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense. Yeah, sure.
I
Yeah.
think so. So it's just rewarding you for
He's
doing
a master
the
of
thing.
lockpicking.
Yeah.
Good
so
dad.
Ralph is a good dad and an even greater lockpick.
That's correct.
So he gets in there and then the stall door won't close, so he has to take old gum and use it to keep the stall door fastened.
Nice.
And then he hides on the toilet with his little feetsies up, and then Foxy's just like,
Guess
And
there's
leaves.
no one in here.
"Oh, guess I'll go." So there's stuff like that,
Cool.
right? Incorporating some aspects of that, I do think would be fun. That might, for me, that might be more of like a round or run to like full run to New Game Plus activity.
Sure. Do you think they're going to be able to like walk around, or is it like a click on a thing kind of a task here?
Right? It's an interesting thing. I wonder if it'll be like something on the monitor pops up and it's
Sure.
like broop broop alert, and
Yeah.
then you could just like teleport.
Sure. Yeah.
Meow. I don't
I'm
know
sure
why
it'll be
when-
answered immediately.
I had to me in my mind this was a kazoo,
Right. That's
but in
yeah, sure.
in your eyes it's drugs, but for me it's a kazoo.
Report in the comments what you thought.
Yeah. Drop a comment down below and
you
be
think it
sure to
was-
subscribe.
Drugs are a kazoo.
And drugs are a kazoo.
The player is shown on the map where their next task lies, and so they have to make sure there's no animatronics nearby before heading there. The player can then click a button on the screen and make their way to that room.
See, if we played it for 10 more seconds, that bit wouldn't even be needed.
No, we could probably cut that.
See, you're already a professional. Already a pro.
Oh, you might ask? Well, the guard stands up from his chair, turns around, and enters the vents.
What?
Whoa.
We're vent crawling?
While in the vents, you stop every now and then to take a turn. There are directions on screen to inform you which way the vent will lead you, but there's nothing to stop you from taking a different path. We'll get back to that later.
Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
That's sick.
All of your tasks throughout the week would have a noise meter, which draws animatronics to them.
This is
If the
so
player gets
cool.
caught, they're dead. But if they succeed, they
be
return
too
to the
noisy,
office with no problem.
Squeaky bulb. Bonnie, you should have knocked.
I think it's better if the animatronics
Unbelievable.
can't fit in these vents, as otherwise that's a whole other problem to deal with. and
Also, I like that in this one. Bonnie's just kind of like
What are you doing in there?
it looks at you and then goes,
I think
let
it's
me-
better if the animatronics can't fit in
Maintenance.
these vents, as otherwise that's a whole other problem to deal with, and it's probably too much to add for the very first game in the series. Like I was saying, these should have a positive effect for the player on gameplay. So for our light bulb example, any animatronic that ends up in the restrooms will now spend more time in that area searching the lit up bathroom, meaning they are less likely to come and kill the player.
a payoff.
That's cool.
I like that. This is very well thought out. This is awesome.
It seems like it's like almost done too. Like, is this game out?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is just made for video purposes or
Sure.
if we're actually seeing parts of a demo with this. I don't know. But either way, we would totally play this.
Yeah,
This
it's
is so
really well
cool.
done.
So cool.
I think these extra mini tasks would add a lot to the game, and they'd be randomized, so no two playthroughs would be the same. It'd also give the player an opportunity to see different parts of the pizzeria up close, rather than being stuck in the office the entire time. In terms of other extra stuff you can do, you can see that we've added an arcade to the map, so you know we've got to add some 8-bit minigames, but we'll talk a bit more about those in detail later on in the upcoming lore section of the video.
Okay, I'm excited for that lore section, right? Because I mentioned a little bit before, you know how it is, right? Like with these mini games, they were very much these like lore delivery devices and like theorizing fuel. We all know the classic was at the Bite of 87 reaction. These had a lot of strange information. If you did weird things with these mini games, you would unlock things like the happiest day, right? So I'm interested to see how that's reimagined here, especially before those were ever even introduced in the franchise. So I'll keep my eye on it.
Video. Now, something much more substantial I'd like to change with this game is Night 5.
Whoa, okay.
I'm
Jumping
taking
ahead.
heavy inspiration from FNAF 4 here, but something I think was really interesting about that game was the choice to switch from the regular animatronics to Nightmare Fredbear on Night 5. Totally stealing that idea, Night 5 will have the player go up against the one and only Golden Freddy, who will be rocking his withered Fredbear look. Now, I'm all
Wait.
for the idea of Golden Freddy taking
So Golden Freddy would be in the building and like you'd see it on the instead of Fred. Hold on.
who will be rocking his withered Fredbear
I'll let you
look.
explain.
Now, I'm all for the idea of Golden Freddy taking the form of his bandmates in the original series, but I think that was more of a response to the fact that Scott
Another purple number. Another purple number. I wonder if there are more. What? Oh my gosh, you were hiding secrets. Okay, there was a 9. I'll have to go back and see what I missed.
the fact
9.
that Scott didn't plan out the series from the start, so he needed to explain why Golden Freddy looked different in the first game, despite there being no reason for the company to repair a suit that they're not using.
Right.
However, we don't have to worry about any of that here, so in my reboot, Fredbear looks the same as he did all those years ago.
Whoa.
Story-wise, there is
Okay.
a reason that Golden Freddy takes over on Night 5, but again, I'll go into that later in the lore part of the video.
Oh man, there's a lot of build-up to this lore part of the video. I assume that's the sweeping chapter here. No, that's Ralph.
Where's the lore chapter?
Okay, lore starts here. And then we go into Ralph
Gotcha.
and newspaper, arcade. Okay, so lore is the majority of this video, as the Lord intended.
I imagine that on night 5, everything starts up as normal, but we notice that by 1 AM, none of the band have even moved yet. Then, suddenly, the power in the building cuts out, the cameras go down, and we're left in the dark.
Oh,
When the power comes back on,
hold
the
on,
stage-
hold on, hold on. Hold on.
Suddenly, the power in the building cuts out, the cameras go down, and we're left in the dark.
Ah, she looks at you! Plush baby looks at you!
The
Ugh!
stage is empty, and Pirate's Cove is open. All of the animatronics
Ooh. It's fun to look inside Pirate's Cove, like clearly. And without a bunch of extraneous noise.
have
That's fun.
disappeared, nowhere to be seen on the cameras.
It's me.
Switching to the backroom cameras shows that the camera has been knocked down from its original resting place and is now lying on the floor.
What? It's me. It's me. Oh!
Oh, he's big.
Oh my gosh, he's biting! And a head? And just a head?
Yeah.
And just a head.
And massive.
Huge. Maybe that's more symbolic of like the vengeful spirit,
Sure.
more so than the actual suit itself.
Could be.
That's scary town.
Golden Freddy is now your main threat and will take the role of the other 4 animatronics.
Whoa.
If he appears in Pirate's Cove, flashing him away will make him
Ugh.
return to his regular pathing, otherwise it's a game over. Surviving Golden Freddy is a difficult task, but if we do survive, well, we'll talk about that later. So that's night 5.
The cliffhangers! The cliffhangers!
But I'm gonna do away with night 6 entirely. I think as cool as it is to have
Whoa.
an extra night, the series is called Five Nights at Freddy's, so the custom night will act as the extra night and be a non-canon challenge mode and not have a night number.
Oh, that's a fun reference. So, in the week before also, a night 2 or night 3, Bonnie's head comes off. Bye! Mew. So, you have to go through and decide, like, hey, do I want to... Oh, is that...
What
I
is
think
that?
that's just an artifact. Oh no, is that part of a game? That looks like something.
Maybe go back a couple more. I think it's just artifacting. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure. I think. Does kind of look like eyes, though, maybe.
What is going on there? Anyway, you have to decide, oh, am I gonna just like go and screw the head back on? Should I check out the party rooms first? And that sort of thing. So that's a fun little reference there too.
Number. The custom night will provide the same options as usual.
Ah.
Animatronic difficulty settings, any challenges like low power or longer
These
nights,
look so
stuff like
good.
that. There will also be the option to activate Golden Freddy, who will take on the AI of the most difficult animatronic you have set and take over at 4 AM, FNAF 4 style. So that's our gameplay, nights 1 to 5, along with any custom night shenanigans a player might get up to. But what does it all mean? What is
Hint, top left.
Mm.
What?
The title of the video.
What? Here.
the real story behind Five Nights at Freddy's? That's our gameplay, nights 1 to 5, along with any custom night shenanigans a player might get up to. But what does it all mean?
No, go away. There's purple up there.
Oh, is that text?
Yeah.
Can you read it? I can't read it from where I am.
If I could catch it.
And take over at 4 AM, FNAF 4 style. So that's our gameplay, nights 1 to 5, along with any custom night shenanigans a player might get up to. But what does it all mean?
Beat 420 mode. I can't.
Is the
fully
real
tell.
story behind Five Nights at Freddy's anniversary. FNAF 1 changed the way a lot of games looked at storytelling. It had an undeniable impact on people when it released, and the same core storytelling philosophies have stuck around to this very day. So, what can we do to make sure this reboot intrigues people in the same way, makes them want to pick apart every tiny detail until they feel like they've figured out all the nooks and crannies of this fresh take on the FNAF story?
But do you want that? Here, let's see.
Well, for starters, I think keeping the focus in-game being on the gameplay rather than the story is something that the original FNAF series got right. The
Yes,
story
yes,
wasn't
good.
spoon-fed to us. Any hints about the wider narrative had to be sought out by the community, which is what makes theorizing so fun to this day.
Perfect.
That's why the in-between night sections I mentioned earlier in Michael's home, or the mini-games I'll go over in a bit, are absolutely optional, and most of them will be hidden away to be uncovered. But before I
Yeah, I think that's A1. That's exactly what it needs to be. I don't think the lore needs to be overt, because the lore has really never been overt in FNAF. There'd be no reason to theorize and speculate as heavily as we have if the story was very clearly and neatly presented to us the whole time. I am very much aligned with this philosophy. It should still be something that the community can dig into and surmise more about, but there's still room for ambiguity, things that you can miss, things that are hidden and tucked away, things that you might still have questions about, and then we could look for the further games to give us more information, but can at least lay down a foundation for what's to come, right?
to go into the secrets, there is one character I've neglected to mention up to this point, or at least his role in this game. He is undoubtedly
Willie
one
A.
of the most iconic and important characters,
Yeah.
and is a crucial aspect to the way the original games hooked their audience. And that is, of course, Ralph, the phone guy. In this game, Ralph
Yeah!
will indeed be our guide, as he was in the original, giving us tips and tricks to surviving the nights.
Oh. Tell 2046, please. All call 952-420-46. Is that what it says?
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just reading a bunch of numbers at this point. See if anything connects.
While also dropping tantalizing teases to the wider Freddy's universe.
Tantalizing teases. It's very fun.
Hello? Hello? Hi there. I wanted to
Hello?
record a couple messages for you to help you get settled in over your first week on the job. I definitely could have done with a friendly voice on these long nights, so I thought I'd give you one to listen to.
Ralph will introduce himself as the location's manager.
My name's Ralph. I'm the manager of this fine establishment.
He's also the
I'm,
manager of this Freddy's Pizza.
Also currently the night guard and the janitor. Staff has been hard to come by as of late, but thanks to you, I finally have a replacement. Someone's coming in from on high to be the new manager.
Ha 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 ha.
Whoa.
Ha. I saw that purple flash. Cheeky.
But you have the privilege of guarding the building after hours.
Oh, ha! And that's also funny, silly, because if Afton comes in here, then that opens the door for like, oh, he's gonna lure them away with Shadow Freddy, do the Remnant experience, the Remnant experiments, or the Remnant experience. Who knows? Could be more to the story, but this is like literally right before that would have happened then. So, kind of piecing together the points, the places in between where William Afton is deciding to go back in and, you know, wreak havoc and extract Remnant and do more of these experiments. So it's not only like laying out more of a story, it's trying to actually connect these main story beats that we already have a good sense of, but we have to make some leaps to figure out how exactly they connect, right? So, good job, buddy.
And cleaning up a few things here and there. This is my last week on the job, so we'll both be braving new beginnings together. Let's see here. There's an introductory greeting I'm supposed to read. You know, sort of a legal thing they had to bring in a few years back.
He'll give a hilariously satirical company greeting that no sane person would stick around to hear the end of, because they'd already be out the door looking for a safer line of work. Ralph assures us nothing will go wrong, as everything in Freddy's has a completely logical explanation. Ralph mentions that the animatronic characters have been stuck on stage since the bite of '87.
Yeah, things really haven't been the same since then. You know, people could excuse one bite, but two? In 4 years? PR really had a hard time with that one. Anyway.
Ralph explains that the animatronics get a bit quirky at night. They're set to free roam at night to stop their servos from locking up and move toward wherever the people are. They can't seem to recognize adults after hours, and so they think you're an endoskeleton without a costume on. That leads to them stuffing you inside an empty suit, killing you. This final
I love that irony of like, oh, well in FNAF 2, They just got mad at adults. They were supposed to just recognize criminals with the database, but they just got mad at adults. And now, here, they have trouble recognizing adults. So everyone's a little endo. And it's like, no, get in your suit.
Final point is
It's interesting.
confirmed to us anytime we die, as we're
Text
brought
switch
to a
up.
game over screen where our player is seen stuffed into a moldy yellow rabbit costume.
That is a wild choice. That's a wild
That
choice.
is wild.
Putting
Yeah.
us in Spring Bonnie with our eyes going bloop boop. Broom. Wow. Interesting.
Do we know who our player character is fully at this point?
I feel like it's pretty safe to say we're Mike.
Okay, cool.
Pretty safe.
In the back room. On night 2, Ralph congratulates us on making it past our first night shift.
Hello? Hello? Hey, look at you. Night 2. You're a natural. Probably.
We're reminded that the work of fazbear security guards extends beyond sitting in an office watching screens all night. Sometimes there will be busybody work that needs doing around the place, which you'll be notified on your cameras about.
If you do need to leave, though, use the ventilation duct situated behind you, on account of the animatronics roaming and looking to stuff you into a suit. Be careful not to get lost, and once you're back out on the other side, try not to be too loud. The vents aren't big enough for the animatronics to fit through, though, so you should be fine.
It should be okay, really.
You should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, with all the death happening around, you should be a-okay.
Don't worry about it.
Just crawl. And then don't not be okay. And then you'll be fine.
Ralph also explains that Foxy, his favorite animatronic, is located in Pirate's Cove.
Foxy is also his daughter's favorite.
Aw, that's cute.
He's a good dad,
Yeah.
Fisher. He's a good
Cares
dad.
about his
Marked out.
daughter's interests.
Yes.
Yeah.
Order, he's still active at night. He doesn't like being watched, so it's best to stay away from his camera as much as you can. If he starts poking out, though, you can just hit him with your camera lights.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
always had a problem with lights, that one. Wish we knew that back before he... never mind.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Whoa.
Haha. Bite of 87 implications. Whoop whoop. Whoop whoop. Yeah. Anyway, through the latest through the week before, it is so strongly, heavily implicated that Foxy actually did the bite of 87.
Interesting.
So, like, yeah, Foxy. Or wish we knew that before he chomped on the frontal lobe.
Oh, dang.
Hate when they chomp on the frontal lobe.
It keeps happening.
All the time. How am I supposed to do, you know, more complex thought processes? Oh, man. Guess I'm cynic for lizard
On
brain.
night 3, Ralph is
Limbic
surprised
system.
we're still working here. The turnaround on guards is usually quite high. He supposes that we might never listen to this message, and if we don't, then that means Fazbear will be hiring again.
I really hope they don't call me. I don't know if I can turn them down.
Ralph tells us that if we ever
Ralph
get
has an
bored, we
unhealthy
can
relationship with Fazbear Entertainment. Yeah, but he likes his legacy so much. He feels like he's helping. Ooh. Just saying.
always check out the arcade. Some of the games are a bit glitchy, but most of them are fine.
You know, leaving the office unnecessarily during the night isn't the best idea, but a quick game here or there can be good for the soul. Just use the vents to get there, and be back as quickly as possible.
But
Those
be a
arcades
gamer.
are loud.
Of course, this is a hint that there are playable arcades which will be later used to feed more story to the player.
Yes. Is there an option to skip Phone Guy? Because I think if, like, the lore is skippable or missable, a lot of lore was delivered through that specific Phone Guy message, right? Like, Foxy doing some crimes, right? For one. That there are secrets and lore in the arcade. It doesn't, in my opinion, present the arcade as extremely optional to say that. It feels like we need to get there at some point.
Sure.
And there's things to do.
I don't think if I understood the dialogue correctly, I don't think the phone guy said, hey, there's information in the games. He's just like, hey, if you want to go risk your life to play some Galaga, have
Yeah,
at it.
I want to go there and just play some Frogger
Yeah.
for the thrill of it all. Yeah, it's just, when someone's telling me, like, oh, you can go to the arcade, but be
Sure.
careful, there's a mechanic here that could get you caught.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's something I have to do there.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But would you risk it all for Frogger or
Maybe
Galaga?
maybe not for Frogger. I'm a Galaga fiend. I would do it for Galaga. Galaga is really fun.
Yeah, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
But not for Frogger.
No.
I think I'd do it for Frogger 3.
Frogger 3.
Yeah.
They made sequels to Frogger?
I love the sequels
Okay,
to Frogger.
cool. I didn't know I didn't know those existed.
That, or I don't know if they'd have a cabinet for like Excite Bike,
Ooh.
but I loved Excite Bike.
Yeah. I could get down with some like Mrs. Pac-Man. Yeah,
Yes. I'm just saying. I feel like that's a good way to go out,
absolutely.
you know?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, there's lore, there's information there,
Yeah.
but like,
Foxy
Mrs.
just comes up
Pac-Man.
and puts a quarter in.
yeah, he's like, oh my god, he's backseat
Next.
gaming with us. It's like, oh, Foxy, there's Street Fighter. Ugh. And then we're just both going at it.
On night 4,
Hello? Wow, you're still here. Listening to this. Hopefully.
Ralph's voice sounds tinnier than usual, and he's whispering.
Is he using his Motorola to leave the message? It's like the phone changed. That's interesting.
I hope your night's going better than mine. I popped out for a minute to get in a game of Fruity Maze and,
That's my day-to-day life, unfortunately. Every day is a fruity maze.
guess I lost track of time. Bonnie nearly got me. I panicked and jumped in the vents, but I got a little turned around on the way back to the office. I'm using my cell phone now to call the voicemail system. I hope this message makes it to you.
It did.
I'm not really sure where I am. It's a bit of a maze in here. Fruity maze.
Ralph gets a pass. I'll let you cook, dude.
I'm going to try and hold out here for the night. Wait for them all to reset in the morning. In fact, I don't know why I didn't think of this before. I'm probably safer in here than you are. So, there you go. That's your tip for tonight. Hide in the vents.
Oh, don't die.
Ralph goes quiet. There's a strange slithering sound coming through the phone.
Is that
I didn't even know we still had you around.
the puppet?
Oh no.
It's me.
Remember
Ooh.
before when I said the player could take any path they like in the vents? Well, if you stay in the vents long enough and take enough wrong turns, on any night you can find Ralph's body decaying in the vents.
Oh.
He has a daughter. He has a daughter.
No.
Oh no! Oh my god. Oh, there you are. Hey, Charlie. Oh.
Wow.
You're not allowed here.
That's right, the puppets in FNAF 1, baby! So
The puppets and Pebble, baby! Let's go! That was a wicked good animation.
That was awesome.
That was so creepy. Oh my gosh.
You're not allowed here.
That's right, the puppets in FNAF 1, baby!
Baby.
So obviously, in the original series, the puppet wasn't invented until FNAF 2, and thus had no way of appearing in the first game, despite the second game actually being a prequel.
I hope you're proud of me. I was going to pause to say, yeah, because it's like, well, FNAF 2 was technically a prequel, and so, you know, it's one of those things where the continuity makes...
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
I didn't want to just add the puppet in as a regular character, but the idea of just ignoring her existence didn't feel right either. Setting her up as this mysterious entity crawling through the walls at Freddy's felt like something more appropriate for her in the first game. Totally missable on a standard initial playthrough, but more important to the story at large.
Right. So it's like, you know that the puppet is acting as this, you know, protective force, giving gifts, giving life for the animatronics and the kids' souls in those animatronics, right? And so if she's living in the vents, here.
This is also why Freddy faces the vents and plays his music box. He's programmed to keep her at bay by playing soothing lullabies throughout the pizzeria into the vents. Anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about the puppet and her place in this game later, but for
Anyway, so it's, she's acting as like a protector, right? But you also have to keep her at bay with the music box. It's interesting that Freddy's taking on that responsibility to do that, though.
Yeah.
I find that very intriguing that he's taking it on himself, or Gabriel is for that matter. Huh. But of her like lurking in the vents and feeling like threatened or attacked because Ralph is in there, it also adds an interesting stake to finding the lore and making it almost dangerous. We're going into the vent. We're causing a situation. It's an active threat to Charlie, right? And it's still being vague about what her role is and her purpose. But I think that's cool. Interesting that she's here. Interesting that she's here. But I like it.
For now, let's go on to Ralph's Night 5 call.
But Ralph's dead. How can he call us?
Well, to draw from the week before again, on Night 5, before Fredbear shows up, the voicemail system crackles to life, as all the animatronics stay in place.
Hello? Hello? Pardon my asking, sir, but what on earth are you doing there? Didn't you get the memo? The building is on total lockdown. This investigation has gotten really out of hand. They're saying someone want this is what you want to hear, but they're saying they're saying someone
Wait, what? Oh, whoa. Like a little purplish in the background. It fades to purple. Someone, Afton.
this is what you want to hear, but they're saying we're probably gonna have to end up closing for a while. With all the panic and the new animatronics acting up, it's probably for the best. I promise I'll handle everything best I can. But for the time being, I recommend you finish your shift and try not to touch anything. I'll call you in the morning and update you. Just please don't touch anything. Okay.
As you might be able to tell, this is my rewritten hodgepodge of the FNAF 2
As you might be able to tell,
phone
this
call,
is
right?
my rewritten hodgepodge of the FNAF 2 phone calls from nights 5 and 6. I have ideas about how that game would work, but rest assured that if I ever talk about what I'd do for that game, I would absolutely use this as the night 5 phone call there as well. The night then proceeds with Golden Freddy doing his thing, and that's the end of Ralph.
replay.
This game would be full of small, creepy Easter eggs just like the first game.
That would have to be recorded way, way, way in the past by the time we get here. And transferred in. If it was an Afton plant. Whoa, now we're talking.
Posters changing on the wall, characters with rare screens or glitchy hallucinations, that sort of thing.
I was also sort of thinking you could have
it fun to rack.
anniversarycodebreaker.com. Yes! Oh my gosh, okay. So, we're not finishing this today, I don't think. But next episode, I'll put together all the codes and go to this website. This is a good place to stop for now. We'll have to go back into this again because there's a bunch of codes hidden in this video. So I assume that there is some kind of puzzling aspect that's going to happen after this. We have to go back and look for the purple numbers. There's the codes that were on the phone, the purple text in the upper left corner that had the 420 mode code to it, I think. It was 3344. So we'll have to go back and figure out all of that. But for right now, this is so cool. Like, I think when the initial question was asked, I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, when it comes to rebooting, I feel like there's a lot that could be lost if not handled with care. But, like, this creator, The Unwithered Truth, does handle it with care and precision and has clearly done a lot of research into the games, into pulling Easter eggs and mechanics that make sense for what's going on here, right? And really elevating the story while still leaving room for mystery. And we're still in the lore section, so we're going to see more of what's happening in the newspapers, more of the Easter eggs. Like, we had the Pizzeria Simulator one at the very beginning. We also had the journalist from the week before. And then Ralph, and that characterization has been massively important with this as well. So I'm excited to get into more of this. Let me know what you think about all of this stuff. But personally, for me, this is a very cool concept, and I'm super excited to see what else unfolds from here, and if we get a video about the second game in FNAF 2. Because if we're taking things like the phone call from night 5, night 6, right, and then we're putting it, reinserting it into the future in this timeline, right, It's like, ooh, so how else are we going to build on FNAF 2 to differentiate it more from FNAF 1 with some of these mechanics now holding hands? It's interesting. It's very interesting and very creative and fun. We're in this moment right now in the FNAF community where creativity is reaching like an all-time high. We're creating these really fantastic video projects, like full-blown animations, creative visualizations. We are really innovating like the way that we think about FNAF and the way that we present that information to other people. This is another example of that in the non-conventional theorizing sense, but it's still theorizing, but it's also like a meta commentary on the franchise and the community at large, which I think is so sick. I think that's so cool. So, Unwithered Truth, I'm not even done with your video yet, man, but to you, clap and a half. Booyah. Sorry, I could have given you more
No,
warning.
it's all good. I tried to follow it.
Here, do you want to do it again?
Yeah, let's do
on
it.
tick? All right.
Yeah.
For you, Unwithered Truth, a second clap and a half. Yes! Nice! That was crispy. All right, perfect. So, we'll be back at this again, but let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, my friends, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Fisher, for being a fantastic tech
Thank
on
you.
your first day.
Yeah, this has been great. This is super fun.
Yeah, you're already like significantly more competent and confident than I was my first day of
I
tech.
don't know about that, but I
No,
appreciate it.
I am quite sure, and I appreciate you greatly for
Thanks.
it. So thank you all again so much for watching. And remember, my friends, this was not a live stream, but it was a video. A video for you. See ya!